and then the next step is push together. So the manometer will read the resistance of the cone and the resistance of the friction. This is just an example. This was done in 1952 by Beckman. This is in Bandung. You see, this is the cone. It is just like the precision. You know, the difference between us and the precision is more lucky. Why? Because it is touching the body of human being. We are touching the body of the earth. It's different material. It's mud. It is dirty. But the name is the same, sounding. It comes from the word sounding. In the Dutch, sondieren. So that is why in Indonesia we call it sondir. Sondir is CPT, sounding. So when the doctor uses the stethoscope and put it over here, he knows what is the mistake, what's wrong in the body. We do the same thing. We push the cone. We know what is inside the ground. Let me show you. If you see this, you can directly say the stratification. If the resistance is high, it is sand. If the resistance is low, it is clay. So this is loose sand. This is clay. That is also medium sand. This is dense sand. How do you know dense sand? It is 100. See, this is dense sand. This is very dense sand. And that is also another clay. This is sand. So we know directly. One very important thing. Many people make a mistake. They thought the friction in clay is higher than in sand. Wrong. The friction in sand is much higher. Look at this. This is the friction. This is sand. Friction is high. This is clay. Friction is low. So in pile, if you have pile in sand, it is friction pile. Some people say it is in clay, it is friction pile. No, in sand it is friction pile because the friction is very high in sand. But the ratio is the thing. When you see in sand, this is sand, this is medium sand. What you see, this is what we call friction ratio. What is friction ratio? Local friction divided by tip resistance. This divided by this. In sand, the friction ratio is less than 2%. So look at this. This is sand, less than 2%. Okay. This is clay. Friction is small, tip resistance is small, but the friction ratio is 4%. So if it is beyond 2%, it must be something silty sand or clay sand or clay from friction ratio alone. This one is dense sand. Look, friction ratio less than 2%. This must be clay. See, this is in clay. Because when the clay tip resistance is higher than 15 bar, it is already stiff clay. So you see, this is the friction ratio, 6%. It is stiff clay. So we know from the tip resistance and the friction ratio, you know what is the soil type. Okay, without drilling. Let me show you the CPTU. This is all the equipment. We have the cable, we have the cone, we have the loggers, and that logger is then connected to the computer, and we have all the cable. We have also depth synchronization. We call it depth synchronization. What is important? We have to saturate the filter. If the filter is not saturated, it is giving you different number. The penetration speed must be standard, which is between 2 to 2.5 centimeter. If you do it faster, 5 centimeter, it will give you different answer. Verticality is important, so it has to be very vertical. Or less than 5% different in the verticality. Now this is how you do the saturation. So you have to take usually a ceramic, put it in the silicone oil. Usually it gives you full saturation, and then we do the test. What is interesting? We have the continuity data every 1 centimeter or 2 centimeter depending on your set. Repeatability, we do the test 2 times or by other people different time. Same. Measure for pressure, measure tip resistance. That is representing effective stress. Because effective stress high, tip resistance also high. So we push the cone using just the mechanical cone equipment. Now this is the thing. This is developed by Begemann. This one is developed by Smertman. The Begemann, this is the local friction, that is the tip resistance, and that is the ratio shown by the slope. If it is friction is high, then the tip resistance it is clay, but otherwise it is sand. But it is easier to use this one. So this is the chart from Smertman. This is 2%. If it is less than 40, it is loose sand. From 40 to 100, it is medium sand. From 100 to 300, it is dense sand. Over 300, it is very dense sand. And then if it has some silt, it gives you larger friction ratio from 2 to 3%. If it is sandy clay or silt, it could be from 3% to probably 5%. If it is clay, from 3% to 5%. And if it is high, very stiff, could be 6%. So this one is experimental data. This is empirical data. We are not using the mathematical interpretation. It is using empirical alone. Empirical alone. This is smart man. I met him 2 times. I said you should change your name. Why is that? Your name must be Smart Man. And that's what I said, because he's so smart. He's so smart. He collects this a lot, and that is very helpful to us. Okay. So this is the advantages. I think I mentioned that before. Just the same thing. How to do saturation. This is the parameter. So there is a QC, friction ratio, and pore pressure ratio. This is the pore pressure ratio. Delta U, this is the exact pore pressure, divided by QT minus sigma V sub 0. This is the way we do the interpretation with the electric cone, friction ratio, and cone resistance. Because his name is Robert, so he is very famous. If your name is Ramli, nobody cares. Who is Ramli? Who is Raharjo? Nobody know, right? So you have to change your name. Next time when you have son or grandson, name him Robertson. So he will be famous. Because this is our mind. We have our mind, wrong mind. We always think, the other people, the Western people is always smart and we are always stupid. And that is wrong. Very wrong. We should now, have our dignity, our own dignity. Look at that. But he is also smart. See? So he collects this using numbers. Using numbers. If it is number 3, it is clay. But Robertson is smart in the sense he doesn't say soil type. He said soil behavior type. So it could be sand, it could be clay sand, but the behavior is clay. So it comes to be number 3. See the difference. So when we are talking about the name of a soil, it must represent the behavior. It must represent the behavior. I tell you one thing, this is just a joke. If you look at me, you look like Chinese. No, I'm 100% Indonesian. I don't speak Chinese a word. My culture is Indonesian. I speak Indonesian, and my grandmother is a Hajah. So, who is me? I'm Indonesian, because I don't speak Chinese at all. See, so that is our dignity, I would say. So what is important is not what you look at me, but what is my behavior. My behavior is Indonesian, so this is soil behavior type. That is similarity. Now this is the way we do the interpretation. In fact, I didn't have this, just put it a few minutes ago. Look at this. This is the friction. This is the cone resistance divided by 14. Okay, put it here. This is the local friction. Okay, and then Begemann, this is his research. Begemann, this is also in Bandung. He used failure test to find out the strength. What happened? This number, when the tip resistance is divided by 14, when the local friction and the fan test is similar. What does it mean? It means that if you divide the tip resistance by 14, you get the strength. Or if you have the friction, you get the strength. So the friction represents the strength. So that is proof using facial test. See? And then it comes out to be like this. So under shear strength is QC minus sigma. Sigma is the vertical total stress, divided by NK. NK is the cofactor. What is the cofactor? Look at this. This is connected by Jerome plasticity index. This is the NK. So NK depending on the plasticity index. If it is low, it will be high. But the average is about 15. But if it is high plasticity, if the plasticity index 70, then you divide by 10. I think you know about this. You did the correction in the field. So if you see after corrected, it is 15. So let's use not 14 but 15. If your tip resistance divided 15, that is the cohesion. But it is good only when it is soft to medium clay. When it is stiff clay, it does not hold. We have to use another one. Very important also this one. Look at this. This is the OCR, which is the pre-consolidation stress divided by vertical effective stress. This is the QC minus P sub 0 divided by P sub 0 prime. What happened? This one is closely related to the OCR. This is OCR, right? If that number, let's say 10, you get the OCR is about 4. So you know the OCR just from the tip resistance because the sigma V or the pre-consolidation stress, this is called yield stress, same thing, mean that it is giving you the real strength. Giving you the real strength. So that is interesting. But this is one thing. When I saw this, I missed something. What did I miss? What I missed is, how about if the OCR is less than 1? If it is less than 1, it means it is under consolidating. So I look for a PhD student. Okay, you work for me. Let's do over here. Let's do what happened with this. So we connect this and it becomes her PhD. So we did it. Now let's check this one. When you use the CPT for consolidating soil, you have to be very careful because the interpretation is different. In normally consolidated clay or over consolidated clay, there is only hydrostatic pressure. So all pressure is coming from both. But the interpretation of consolidating soil is something because there is hydrostatic pressure plus excess pressure. So the interpretation is the different. When I was in Taiwan, I met Professor Paul Main and Mr. Tom Lu from NGI. I talked to them. I said, did you have any data from this? They said no. Okay, I have the data. So that is why I was invited to NGI to Norway to give a talk on the under consolidating soil, which is very interesting. This is just typical data. So that is the tip resistance. This is soft soil. This is the slip friction. So the slip friction tell you about the cohesion. This is the pore pressure, and that's the friction ratio, and this is the pore pressure ratio. I found out, in fact, let me just go ahead. There are previous studies about the consolidating soil. Smertman in 1978 based on the shape of the tip resistance. Tanaka Sakagami, high value at BQ. But he said if the B sub Q higher than 0.75, look at this. This is 0.75, it is higher, so it is under consolidating. But what is the degree? He didn't say. Tanaka Sakagami, no. So in 2008, I come out with the use of the dissipation test to find out what is the degree of consolidation. And then this is my student, 2013, 2014, we use the BQ value. And then I have another student doing BQ and BQ star. That was presented in the Asian Regional Conference in Fukuoka. And then in 2016, I confirmed about BQ star. That was in Australia. And then last time, I have another master student using effective stress concept. So it is still developing. Look at the way, the SmartMan way. So if that is the deep resistance, because the strength is the strength is a factor of the effective stress. So the strength is increasing with depth. Then the strength is the deep resistance is a function of the strength. So if the strength is increasing with depth, the deep resistance also increasing with depth. So according to SmartMan, if you have something like this, and then you come below the ground surface, so this clay is still consolidating. Simple method. If it is over consolidated, if you take the line, you end up some value away from zero. So this is what we call over consolidated clay. But also this comes to zero. If it comes to zero, this is normally consolidated. So this go to zero. But if you have the clay or even very loose sand, and then you take the line, it fall below the ground surface. It is what we call under consolidating clay. That is the SmartMan method. It was introduced in 1978. But I used this for the reclamation work. It didn't work. It didn't work. So next time, maybe if I have the example, I will show you why it didn't work. Let us practice the SmartMan method. This is the true one. Usually you need to zoom. So you scale down or scale up. You scale up the QC. Usually this is until probably 20 or 30. You scale down, you scale up. So this is very clear. Then we take the line. We take the line, it goes to zero. That is parabolic consolidated clay. Now another example. This is also clay. And then we do the take the line. It is away from zero. This is over consolidated clay. And this one, if you take the line, it is below, so it is under consolidated. How to do the calculation? So this is the way sample. So this is the reclamation work about 4.5 meter embankment, and that is the clay below. We want to know if the clay is already consolidated. We use the SmartMan method because this is always the line. So we take, this is 4.5 meter until that point, and this is the line. It is below the ground surface, and that is 1.5 meter. So this is the degree of consolidation. B divided by A times 100%. So the answer is 63%. So simple. So you can use the CPT to find out what is the degree of consolidation. Okay. But actually, I found out this one is not straight. That one is curved because it is like isochron. See, the effective stress is like isochron, so it is curved. But let's say this one is a good data. We can do it with SmartMan method. This is the method that I proposed in 2008. What I did was, we did the dissipation test. So that is the previous U, and then we end up with the U sub F. That U sub F, final compression, must be the same as U sub 0. If you do the dissipation until the end, it should be the same. But the pressure consists of hydrostatic pressure, excess pressure due to penetration, and residual excess pressure. This one only have two: pressure due to penetration and hydrostatic. That is why it goes back to U sub 0. But if you have the residual excess pressure, which is the existing pressure, it will go away, go above. So U sub F is different than U sub 0. The difference difference between U sub F, U sub 0 is what we call the excess compression. This is an example. Usually you have to extrapolate using a curve. Let's say this is at 9.82, U sub 0 is 68 kVA, UF 117, so delta UT is 49 kVA. This is the excess compression. Imagine if you have this kind of excess compression, that is 5 tons per meter square. You have sheet pile, and you calculate only hydrostatic. What happened? This compression will push your sheet pile, and then it collapses because of this. So most of the time I use this for investigation, especially if there is dispute between the owner, the contractor, or the consultant. The P is the effective stress, and then P is the load, and then the degree of consolidation is calculated using this. 1 minus UT is in this case 49, UI or P equal to 64. So that is the degree of consolidation. I use this for several projects. It is good. The problem is the dissipation test is done only at certain depth. This is the one that we developed. This is the one that we developed like this. So we have this one. This is the OCR versus BQ value or pressure ratio value. So if the value of the BQ is about less than 0.75, it is over consolidating. If it is higher, it is under consolidating. So let's say if it is 2.5, we get the degree of consolidation is about, this is 40%, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. So we know the degree. This one is done by a lot of data. There are a lot of data. Then we do the mathematical approach to find out what is the curve. So we use the data. And that curve now become 1. And the OCR equal to 1 divided by 1.2 P sub Q plus 0 plus than 1. So in this case, we know what is the OCR. A lot of time I use this to do the interpretation of the reclaim land, because the owner want to know if it is still consolidating. So look at the way we use. This is the P sub Q, that is 0.75. So this one is still consolidating. And we take the equation. If we take this equation, that equation, we end up with the value like this. So we see degree of consolidation is more or less 80%. Now we introduce another one. Okay, this is the newest one. It was published in 2016. You use BQ, I use BQ star. So I introduced this in 2016 when I was in Australia. In fact, Coleman and Tom Lund, they themselves watched my presentation, and after all they said, your parameter is better. So I like the way American do, because usually they acknowledge if we have some finding and the finding is good, they acknowledge. So Paul Ben said this is a good way. Why is that? Let me tell you. This one is problem. What is the problem? Over here you have sigma V prime. The sigma V prime is calculated based on the assumed unit weight. So if your unit weight is different, your P sub Q is different, then you argue. But big Q star is U2 is measured, QT is measured. So non-interpretation. So this one is better because this one BQ is dependent on the assumed density, BQ star based on measured value, no assumption. So that is the case. So one of my students is Ricky Setiawan doing the correlation between BQ and BQ star. So that is the data that he used. And we found out this is from the BQ, but from the BQ star, we do the correlation. So if the red one is BQ, the blue one is BQ star. Oh, one other thing, sorry, important. Also using BQ star, we know what is the proportion of the tip resistance carried by water. So if it's a 0.8, it means carried by water 80%. If it is 0.5, carried by water 50%. So that is why we use BQ star method. Maybe we can still develop. And we have the correlation, very nice correlation to